Hey, there you are, folks. The Blue Meanie is officially part of Ultra Pro Wrestling. Um, I was going to keep the blue light on because that's kind of cool, but it's a little bit dark. I might actually have to turn it up. Oh, you're going to have to give me a minute to catch my breath. It is absolutely boiling in here. And yeah, I'll give you guys a minute to catch up as well so I can check out the comments. Yeah, I think there were I think there were a lot of people who guessed it right. You know, the shorts, and if you look closely at the silhouette, you can sort of see the cut off top. And someone did guess Balls Mahoney, and I thought that's actually a really good guess because you know the cut off jeans and the cut off top. That's that was a good guess. It looks romantic in there. it's it's boiling. It's so hot in here. I did have the fans on, but I just turned them down because I thought it'd be too noisy and the microphone might pick up. Yeah, I'm going to turn this light back to there because it's a bit too dark and hot and everything. So how's it going, everyone? Oh, let me know what you think of other way. Let me know what you think of the little shiny card reminiscent of those old stickers that you used to get. That's something we thought we were going to do on the website. We're working on getting the website sorted with the roster page, and so we started doing everyone like in little kind of cards, like you know, sort of old school reference. And then we thought, well, with the DLC guys, you know, they're a bit more special, so we should give them the shiny background. So let me know what you think of that. Anyway, I'm going to jump right into questions, but yeah, Blue Me, let's go. Okay, scrolling back up, you guys won't be able to see this. These were left before the stream started. So during a match in career mode or wherever, could you have... Oh, sorry, I just want to say as well, I forgot. We're going to start announcing... we have a ton of guys. We've got a lot of people signed on. So we're going to start doing these announcements every 2 weeks, I think. So yeah. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed so that you know you get notified of that. Yeah. Anyway, during a match in career mode or whenever, could you have a small square at the side of the screen appear with your rival cutting a promo, and alongside their manager or Mean Gene equivalent? We've not thought about that. Interesting. During the match, I'm not sure about during the match. Maybe during the entrance. Because maybe during the match it might be a little bit too distracting. I don't know. That's something to think about. Yeah, for sure. It'd be a good. It'd be a good element of the story mode that makes it different from normal exhibition matches. Something to think about. Something that we've not thought about. Can we at some point upload logos so we can create WWF, WCW arenas, and so on properly with the correct logos? That is the goal. Or not? Maybe I'll get in trouble if I say that's the goal. But no, when I started developing this, you know, I was kind of I was coming at it from the perspective not of you know a games company that is just trying to put another product out there. I'm literally coming at it from what do I personally want from a wrestling game, and I know with the WWE games you can do all that creation stuff, and you know I wanted to kind of make that easy as well. I wanted to make that more accessible if possible. I know that the WWE games, I think that involves going online to some there's ways of uploading it online. But we kind of wanted that's why we have the texture edit system, so that you could upload it online, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Like if you're sitting on your Switch and you just start playing around with the texture edit system, and you make a really good ECW logo or whatever, that'll be something that you'll be able to share and upload to the community creations without having to, you know, it shouldn't have to be like a mod of the game, or you know you don't have to go on your computer and go into Photoshop and create something and then upload it through some website. We want to have that option as well, just in case there's some attires and stuff that are really kind of too detailed for you to be able to create in the texture edit system. But yeah, that's kind of what I want, and obviously I started making this game before we connected with Hal Haney, before we had his designs and his characters, before they were going to be in the game. So for me, the characters that I was creating for the game were kind of just like, well, we need something to put there, but the real the real intention is that you'll use these characters as, they'll be the base characters, but you'll be able to go in and change them, and that's why we'll have prototypes for certain guys, and their story mode will sort of follow certain story modes to a degree. The story mode's not linear, obviously, but yeah. So having ECW arenas, logos, WCW, all that stuff, yeah. Also, will you be able to create a stage and create an arena, and how in depth will it be? I'm not sure how in depth it'll be at this stage, but I mean, basically, we want you to be able to create just about any iconic stage from history. So that's going to be a challenge to do that in a way where you don't just put in the SmackDown fist. We need to sort of think of ways of doing it so that it's not just here's a stage, but we want to give you all the parts to be able to make. And it might take you a little bit of time. It might take someone a lot of time to make that one stage with all the in-game parts. But once it's made, they'll be able to share that to the community creations, and then if they've done the best job that our game can manage, then everyone will be able to download it. And the plan is as well that anyone who uploads like a creation, you can tell I'm not familiar with the WWE games, so I don't really know too much about how their ranking system and all that works. But you'll be able to find whatever everyone else thinks is the best one. So if you wanted an ECW arena, if you wanted a SmackDown arena, if you wanted the old WCW arena, then Nitro arena, I should say, then yeah, it should be. You should be able to just go on. I'm sure day one you'll be able to go on and search, and a bunch of people will have created tons of stuff. Are we going to be able to create weird cause like long necks, short arms, very thin or fat, as previews WWE games? Oh, sorry, it's previous WWE games on the PS2 era. Yeah, I have been playing around with some of the settings for scaling on the bones, which actually causes the mesh to do that, really thin, really, really large, and you can attack different bones. So you could have, the biceps be bulky or really skinny. We've been playing around with that. I noticed someone actually posted, it was a graphic from the new Street Fighter game, and they seem to have that mechanic as well, where you can really manipulate the shape and size of the mesh. So they created this really weird looking abomination. So yeah, I like that. I think it's easy enough to do it. It seems anyway. So yeah, I think that's something that we will be able to. That's another thing as well. Just to mention, about Blue Meanie here. One thing that's awesome about Blue Meanie is the BWO. That's something that's in the game now, the BWO logo and all that stuff. And so, if you want to take that shirt and change the colors, even you don't have to go into the texture edit system. You'll be able to use that shirt to create similar versions of other shirts. We'll say. Did I read that one? Did I read that one? Oh no! This scrolled down by mistake. 1 second. How many titles can you hold in career mode? So far, I think we've only really thought of that you could hold a tag team title and a singles title at the same time. Yeah, I'm trying to think of if it's worth the hassle of see if we make it so that you could hold the world title and say the Intercontinental belt. kind of messes stuff up with the way that the story mode works. So it's something that we maybe could do, but for now it's probably going to be one singles title and one tag team title. It seems like that might be a little bit of a headache. But I guess, if the career mode comes out and it's not a feature and there's a demand for it, we can always go back and look at it. But for just now, I think it's going to be just one singles and one tag team. Can you determine the events of the other promotions as well? Will there be intelligent AI that sees itself possibly at a higher status within the promotion? Keep up the great work. Thanks, dude. I'm trying to just I'm trying to make sure I understand what you're saying correctly. So yeah, basically you're in a promotion, and everyone that you're in the promotion with, they all have their own sort of AI, you could call it script, that they're kind of running off, that's going to dictate their own decisions, which dictates their own path. And that will actually occur, even though you won't see it, that will occur in other promotions as well. You will be able to. We have this idea for backstage. You have like a little TV set, where you can then, it's almost like when, backstage in real life, a lot of guys would like bring in tapes, and if you're backstage at a wrestling show, like, sometimes there'll be a tape, or well, these days like a laptop or something, and people will be sitting watching old matches from different promotions, like maybe in Japan or something. So we want to kind of have that, but in the game it will be, if you're in the Empire Wrestling Federation and you want to, see what's going on in the Japanese promotion, you'll be able to watch the previous events of that week. Possibly you'll be able to watch whatever events have happened, because they all just kind of get saved on like a kind of text document, so it's easy just to kind of pull them up and kind of recreate them. So yeah. So you will be able to keep an eye on what's going on with other promotions as well. And the characters within those other promotions, they're still running off that same script, where this is why the story mode's so big and so dynamic, because lots of stuff can happen. Your character is kind of like the butterfly effect. If your character's not in the story mode, then it runs a certain way, and it would probably run that way every single time. Maybe not if there's like slight elements of randomness that go in a particular direction, but your character, when you get thrown into that world and you move around different promotions, talk to different people, it's like a domino effect, and it changes the whole universe that you're in. So yeah, I don't know of any other video game or wrestling game, I should say, that's done this. Yeah, hope I answered your question there. For the backers who have themselves in the crowd, how will it work? Will you be in the same place always? Will it be easy to find yourself? No, the way, because we've got a lot of people that back that reward, so we unfortunately can't have every single person who backed the reward in every single match every single time. So it's gonna, every time you start a match, it's basically gonna choose, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 10 characters from that reward, and load them in. And you'll always at least be in the front row, but you will be in different places every time, just because of the way that the game loads the fans. It's always kind of set to random, so that anytime you have a match, it's always different fans. So yeah. Will there be something for the community to help create moves for the game? Do you know, I would like that, because that's actually quite in line with, I don't know if you guys all keep up with like the No Mercy modding community, and and they're constantly creating new moves. Um, there is a slight issue in that the way that it's done just now, where they take kind of, I think they take the codes of where a move ends and line it up with another move where it starts. I'm not actually sure how they do it, but a lot of times when you see some videos, the moves can come out kind of janky a little bit. So that's a concern, because we wouldn't want to put a feature in the game where or do something where people can make moves that are completely janky, because if they take that move and they play online, and someone who's never seen the game before, they try it for the first time, they play against someone online, and all of a sudden there's all these like janky animations and janky moves. It just makes people like have a bad perception of the game. So that's a concern. That's something that we'd want to try and avoid. But if someone said, yeah, ironically, I'm one of the people who makes moves for WWF No Mercy. Yeah, I'm in one of the Discord servers with Retro Randy and a bunch of people, and I see them posting moves all the time. And to be fair, those moves are, if there is any janky moves, they work on them and they get them smooth as fuck. So whatever it is that they're doing, whether maybe they're just really, maybe they're just really consistent with how they do it and they don't stop at any sort of jankiness. But the problem is, if we have a system within the game where you can create your own move that can lead to jankiness, then it's just a bit of an issue, a bit of a concern, because we just wouldn't want that to be an official part of the game kind of thing. And hopefully we'll oh, Antonic, okay, yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, so hey, maybe you can help steer me in the right direction, and coming up with a way of letting players create moves that we can somehow avoid any jankiness, because the moves that you guys create are unbelievable, awesome. So yeah, we'd love to give people the ability to do that. But as I said, I think you guys take your time with it, and you just do it. You just, if there ever is something that looks kind of janky, from what I've seen, you guys are all like, okay, no, well, there's a little bit here, we need to go in and fix that. You don't just let it be put out there with the janky animation. But I'm guessing there's some people out there who do, and they've, if they did that with this game, and they just had a bunch of moves that were janky and people played them online and they thought that was part of UPW, that would be something that we'd consider to be a bad look, and something that we'd want to avoid. So yeah, it's a big topic. I'm definitely in favor of it, especially it's one of these things where if you can open that up to the community and let the community just go and create stuff, you can end up with a game with just thousands of crazy moves that would be very, very time consuming for us to try and just build them into the game initially. So yeah, giving that up to you guys would be that would actually help us, so definitely in favor of it. It's just trying to figure out how to go about it. Anyway, will there be... Oh, sorry, that was the first question of 3. Okay, here we go. Can custom music... Oh, thank you very much. Here's a bit to help you guys keep the lights on. Thank you so much. That's definitely appreciated. It's funny. We sometimes get what they call super chats. We sometimes get super chats, and up until a couple of days ago, I wasn't able to really do anything with that, because Google, I think it goes through, because obviously YouTube's owned by Google. It goes through Google AdSense or something. And I never knew this. There was an issue with my account. I think I just hadn't submitted some form or something. So all the money that we'd kind of raised and got through the super chats, I was never able to access it up until a couple of days ago. It got approved, and so now whenever we get super chat money, it's like, oh cool, we're actually going to see that money. So that's awesome. Thanks very much. Uh, Sorry, I'm going to come back to this question. I'm going to get a little drink because, as I said, it is so hot in here. Um, and my throat is now starting to dry up a little bit. Uh, oh, Sunny G. Okay, so can custom music not be limited to just MIDI? Please allow MP3s or MP3 instrumentals. The simpler the process, the better. Um, I guess yeah, it's just difficult because there's so many rules and regulations around, people uploading, um, you know, licensed music and all that stuff. Um, and I guess my concern is that we think that Ultra Pro Wrestling is we hope that Ultra Pro Wrestling is going to have a massive online community. And if you do get people that are streamers and playing the game, and someone comes out, we've spoke about this before. We think there are ways to kind of go around it. Like, if it's a custom music, then maybe the person who's streaming can have it automatically muted somehow. It's something to think about, that we're kind of, yeah, we're trying to get it right, but we're just there's a lot of things we're unsure about, how to do it in the best way. The MIDI system is kind of like a fallback system. It's kind of like, well, if we can't get real music in the game somehow, even if it's through people uploading their own versions, then we have the MIDI system as a fallback. But we would love to actually have a better system than the MIDI system. We'd love to have it. People have recommended Spotify integration. I think that still doesn't really help with the streamers and all that stuff. But as I said, there might be a way to get around that, where it's the streamer, they have to go in and we might have a setting that says, opponent's music, turn it off, just in case. So that's an idea, but yeah, okay. So number 3, will there be a stat for weight detection that could possibly determine the likelihood of lifting a super heavyweight? Yeah, we have a weight system, weight and height. So if your opponent is a particular weight and height, he'll be set to either heavyweight or super heavyweight. Maybe you're getting at, is there a way to to like take someone like, just as an example, like Hurricane Helms, and make him a super heavyweight? I'm trying to think now. I don't think we have it set up so that you can do that. It pretty much is linked just now anyway to your actual height and weight, that you put in. Yeah. Oh, something's making noises. I had Blue Mini as the reveal. You were right. Buff Bagwell. Was that a guess at the silhouette? Mini makes sense with the shorts and shape. 1 out of 2. You seem unsure about how the damage system and momentum meter will work under the hood, and are relying on a Twitter guy to get this key information. 2 out of 2. Is that a concern? This stuff is a gigantic part of how the AKI games worked and played. If that isn't nailed, it won't feel like an AKI game. Give me confidence this will be right. As of right now, I'm 99% confident that the stuff that I've seen from Melon Bread is accurate, is completely correct. And I'll tell you what, before I became aware of Melon Bread, if you try and think about it from my perspective, if I'm building a wrestling game and trying to replicate the AKI engine, I'm not actually like a modder, or I guess I have technically modded the No Mercy games before, because I worked out how to change the textures, which I think is the first step of anyone who's modding those games. I don't know anything about, these guys that are changing the moves and all that. I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about how. I don't know how Melon Bread even figures out all the under the hood stuff. So my approach to this was, I'm going to play the games. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to do testing. I was actually doing this, like walking from one side of the ring, and then matching it up with in-game, holding the buttons at the same time to get the speed right. I was basically going to try and reverse engineer the game through playing it. Nothing under the hood. That's the way that I was approaching it initially. Which now, realising how much information there is under the hood, with the stuff that I've become aware of through Melon Bread, there's no fucking way that I could have reverse engineered all that stuff. Maybe if I took like 4 years, I might have been able to do it, but the amount of information, the amount of variables that's under the hood is unbelievable. But unbelievably, Melon Bread, we've got, like, as I say, I think I've said this before, we printed off all of his AKI Did You Know tweets, and went through them all, and the amount of information, we've got like, I think 25 or 30 printouts, and like, when he's posting this stuff, it's not just like he's not taking a guess. He's not like, it's not a stab in the dark or anything. He's showing you the video that accompanies the message. So I'm trying to think of, like, whenever I think of an example, I always just go to the easiest one. It was like the first one that kind of blew me away was like the exact amount of health, like, because reverse engineering the game, you would never know the exact number of health that the characters start with. And so when I saw this post from Melon Bread, it said each character starts with 255 health. I was just like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, the information is just there. But you apply it out through, that's the easiest example. You apply it out throughout the game, and it's like, he knows how much damage is inflicted on each iteration of a move. Like, if you do a pin attempt, he knows that if you do a pin attempt the first, like, 0 to 5 times, then it has this percentage chance of X. But then if you do it 5 to 15 times, it has this other chance. And then if you do it 15 to 35, and he knows the actual numbers. He knows the actual raw numbers. That's stuff that we would never have been able to do reverse engineering it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if there is anything that Melon Bread's put out that isn't accurate or isn't correct, we'll be able to account for it, because what we're going to do is, once we have all that information built into the game engine, and that's, you said that I'm unsure about the damage system and all that stuff. I'm not unsure about it in the sense of, do we have the information from Melon Bread that will work? I'm not unsure about that. We just haven't got around to implementing that side of it yet. There's a bunch of stuff that we're doing just now, especially because we had to rework the animation system. This has been a tiny little bit of a setback over the past few weeks, but don't worry about it, because it's actually the results that it's yielded are very good. So, but because we've not got to literally implementing that bit yet, that's the only reason if I come across like unsure, because I don't know the numbers and exactly how it works off the top of my head. If I go and look through the documentation that we've got from Melonhead, I could probably sit and tell you this is exactly how it works. So I'm 99% confident that the stuff from Melon Bread is accurate and correct. But if there is anything that's off, what we're going to do is, once we're in the process right now of, we've got 2 characters that we're working on and getting all their movesets done. And one of the things that we thought would make this easier is if we created them in No Mercy first with all the moves, and that way when we get them in Ultra Pro Wrestling with all the same moves, we can have an exact same match. We can do like a 1-player versus 2-player on the N64, 1-player versus 2-player on Ultra Pro Wrestling, do all the exact same moves, do everything, and if the health and the spirit meter, isn't reacting exactly how it does on No Mercy, then we'll know that it's not right. So that's the degree to which we're trying to recreate this engine. It's not just here's a game that's influenced by AKI. Like we want to fucking replicate the engine as best we can, and that's also one of the reasons why just now we're not so heavily focused on like creating additional moves or creating. People ask about like will we have the expansions on the engine, such as like grapples at the grappling system for at the ropes and on the on the the guardrails, and a bunch of stuff that we want to do with the apron as well. But what we're trying to do right now is get the core engine right. And that is going to take some time, going to take a lot of testing. But once we have that core engine right, then we'll feel very confident that we can expand on it. But yeah, so I hope I gave you some confidence there that that we will get it right. And even if by some, for whatever reason, if the stuff that Melon Bread is doing isn't accurate, I believe it is. But if it isn't, then we'll be able to just test by playing the game and then comparing it with the actual No Mercy engine as well. So yeah, hope that's hope that gave you some confidence. Okay, let me see here. Yokozuna. All right. Oh yeah. That's not a bad guess. That's not a bad guess. We've got a comment here in a different language. I don't know what that says. Si fosse de Android. Oh, what's this guy's language for no? We're not. No, there's no Android. We kind of think that we'll have a version of Ultra Pro Wrestling for mobile, but it's going to be hopefully the exact same engine, but scaled down graphics, scaled down polygons, and probably very, very similar to the AKI games, but with a lot more features, like more than 4 characters on screen at one time, and that's something that we think will Portuguese. That's something that the reason I was so quick to say no there with the Android is I heard something a while back. I was getting a lot of comments on YouTube about Android. A lot of people on various different videos kept asking about Android. And I started thinking it was a bit strange. And it always seemed to be sort of non-native English speakers that were asking about Android. And someone told me apparently there's a community that that use Android to rip apart the game and basically recreate it, or I think they basically kind of steal all the code or something like that. And I could be misremembering this, but I'm sure someone told me that this happened to M. Dickey's game, where they basically got it on Android and ripped it all apart, and then basically could make their own version of it. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, well, fuck that. We're not putting that on Android if they're just going to, basically steal everything. But yeah, so, and I'm not suggesting that the guy asking about that is, it's just that it seems to be a reoccurring thing. But anyway, will we be able to add our own music to the game on Steam? The music thing is still something that we're just trying to see what the best path to take on that is. And again, if we're not able to make it so that you can upload, Steam might be a lot easier, because I think you might be able to just drag and drop stuff into a folder, and if we can get that to work, and you can do it on your own machine, and that it doesn't involve like the Creative Cloud, the creative you know what I'm talking about. So, if it doesn't involve that side of it, and it's easy enough to do, then sure, that shouldn't be a problem. But again, the MIDI system, the idea is sort of just our fallback if we can't get a sort of universal music upload system. There's another. Oh, it's the same guy asking about Android. And then something about PC. It will be on PC. It will be on Steam. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only person who wants custom music. But Sam said they probably use a way to convert your music to MIDI. We'll try and definitely. It seems to me that the music thing is something that people want, and they want us to get it right. So when it comes to that time, hopefully we'll do our best. It's definitely the Blue Meanie. Okay, let me see where I am. Andre. So now I'm just reading through the comments. This is now, I'm picking up from where we revealed Blue Meanie. Lots of people saying they called it, they knew it. Yeah. I mean, I really like the thing that we're doing with the silhouettes. I think Blue Meanie was an easier one to guess. But there was a lot of like, as I said, people were saying Balls Money, and I thought, yeah, that's actually, because I was kind of thinking, like, when we put it up, I was like, people are gonna know, people are just gonna know that it's Blue Meanie. But no, obviously a lot of people did guess right, but there was a lot of people that were unsure. I just found out about this game last week. Can't wait. Awesome. It's Meanie time. Blue Meanie Q dance music. Yeah, that's something that's so awesome about having the Blue Meanie as well. Oh, that's right. I've not actually announced it yet on Twitter. Maybe should have done that. But this is now, the second character that we have that was actually in those AKI games. So that's awesome, because if you look back to WrestleMania 2000, like, his whole moveset's there, and his animations and his dances and stuff like that. So unless of course he wants us to change anything, it's going to be pretty easy to get his moves down. Have all the different dance moves, and when he does the dance, it'll look like an AKI game. Blue Meanie returning from WrestleMania 2000. Will this game come out on PS4? Yeah, we're scheduled for PS4, PS5, Xbox, Switch. Will we be able to upload custom logos at some point so we can? Did I already read that? Can recreate WWF, WCW, NJPW? Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of the first questions. Was similar. It was, yeah. We want you to be able to upload your own logos and everything. Sorry, it's a fly. Loving the card. Yeah, awesome. Nice touch. 4th of July was record heat, so it's all gross everywhere. Yeah. But I mean, I'm in Scotland. We tend not to have this kind of. To be fair, actually, we have had very humid weather recently, but it's actually just, being in the office. We've got a ton of computers running, and that's probably what it is. We do have windows, so the windows are open, and it's still fucking boiling. The card style looks great. I love it. Like, I was big into the sticker albums, and I used to love opening up that sticker pack, and you'd get the shiny, and it'd just be like it'd be like a logo for like well done or something, but you'd be like, it's another one to add to the pile. I once had a shiny for Horace Hogan. Awesome. And then create a show or an arena. Can we create the set and if so, how in depth will it be? Um, yeah, it'll be pretty in depth. You'll sort of choose whether or not you want the entrance to be right down the middle. I look like fucking Bill Alfonso here. Whether you want it to be right down the middle, or like the WWF used to have it, kind of from the corner going off into the side, and you'll be able to choose if it's the left side or the right side. Or there's also an option for like the early Nitro, where the guardrails were straight, but they weren't down the middle. They were off to the side, so not going to the corner, but going up towards the entrance. But it was all kind of shifted a little bit off to the side. So you sort of start off setting your where your stage is going to be, where it's going to be at the corner, at the side, in the middle, and then from there you can kind of build out, what kind of stage it is, whether it's like, whether it even is a stage, whether it's just going to be on the floor, or whether there's a stage and whether there's a ramp, and then whether the ramp is like, a thin ramp, a little ramp, big ramp, if it goes right to the ring, all that kind of stuff. So then from there, you've got the actual entrance stage, and from there you can build out. You basically get a bunch of options for what the curtain bit is that they come through, whether that's at the middle, whether that's at the side, all that stuff. And then you get a bunch of different Trons. I think you can put 3 different Trons. Is that right? There's 3 different Tron types, but each type could be made up of more than one Tron as well. And then you got a bunch of props. So there is, and with the props as well, you can rotate them around, move them whatever way you want. So yeah, there's lots of options for creating your own stage. 'Cause I basically started off trying to create the ECW bricks, but if we just stick the bricks as they are in there in the way that looks, there's probably someone out there who will say, hey, they can't do that, that's we own that. So it was trying to do that in a way where we don't present you with the ECW bricks, and all that stuff. We present you with parts that are fine for us to present you with, and then you go in, rotate them, change them, do whatever you want, and through that process you'll be able to create a very, very close representation of like the ECW bricks. That's what I'm saying as well with the SmackDown fist. I don't know if we'd get away with just putting a fist in there. Possibly if we had like a prop that was like, maybe if we had a prop that was like, a bot. I'm just speculating. Let's say there's a prop that there's a body that's like lying down, and his hand happens to be in a fist. And then you grab him and you scale him up as big as you can, and then you throw him back so that the bulk of his body is behind the stage, and oh look, his fist is sticking out. Maybe it's something like that, So anyway, I'll get back to yeah. Is the office next to a convent or something? Yeah, there's a church just kind of a stone's throw that way. Yeah, and every hour on the hour, the bells go off. Hey, Antonic from WWF No Mercy scene. I have a general question. From the clips I've seen, I've only seen animations that are in No Mercy. Do you have any moves or variety of said moves, strikes? Yeah, right now, as I said, we're trying to, because we want all the moves that were in those games, we basically have that as our foundation. And then once we've got all those moves animated, what we then think we can do is something similar to what you guys do, where, if we want to do like a Van Terminator, we might look and say, well, we've got that, that that drop kick, that or I was going to say baseball slide. The baseball slide wouldn't work, but yeah, there's like I think it's the Tree of Woe drop kick. That animation looks like it would be kind of good. So we could sort of keep it in line with what the No Mercy animations actually looked like, so that when we piece together a Van Terminator, we could do it in this similar way to you guys, where we piece it together. If it ends up kind of not looking right, if we do it and we're not doing it right and it's creating some jank, luckily we have the option to just say, okay, well, fuck it, we'll just do it from scratch. We'll just basically do the way that the AKI guys would do it, where we'd get the footage of, say, the Van Terminator. We'd slow it down, we'd separate it out into separate key points, and then say, okay, well, we'll line them up here, and then animate it that way, by hand. But our hope is that when we have all the when we've recreated all of the AKI moves, and we have them in a way in which like in a game engine where we can fuck about with them and do stuff, because I know I think from watching on the Discord and stuff, it's my understanding you guys have to go in and like grab like the hex codes or something it's almost like a timestamp of the move. But obviously doing it this way in a game engine where the character's rigged and we can pull them in any direction, or smooth it out, we can go in and delete some frames and smooth it out if we want. We'll be able to get those animations looking really good, but we want to have the AKI moves as a sort of base, as a foundation, that if there is a move that's similar to a move that we already have, and we want to tweak it, we can pull up that original move and then tweak it from there. So at the very least, the start of the move will be very close to I was going to say identical. It won't be identical, but it'll be very close to the AKI moves. And then we can sort of go from there. Because the thing is, what we don't want to do is we don't want to just animate moves and have them not look and feel like the AKI moves. So yeah, we think if we have that as a base, then that's probably the best way to approach it. Just curious if there's anything new in that aspect. Any positives about the AEW game? I like how if you hold 4 titles, the wrestler will hold wear all the belts. Yeah, so I'm guessing that's not a thing with the WWE games. See, the thing is as well, this is people probably shouldn't come to me for for opinions on these modern games, because I actually don't I don't know what the WWE games are like. So if someone posts a video of like you can do this in AEW, I'm not familiar if that's something that's unique to AEW or if it's something that you can do in WWE, but AEW just do it better, so yeah, in terms of the positives, like for me, the gameplay is a bit too fast, and there's certain things, like I think I've mentioned before about the things that I don't like. Certain things like cutting towards, like when you go towards the ropes and you try and exit the ring, in No Mercy the character would actually fully rotate round. But in AEW the animation is just like a one frame. He just automatically switches and is facing the ropes, and that's something that really reminds me of like Here Comes the Pain. That's the exact same mechanic in that game. But no, there's something that they've done that's very like AKI-esque, where it seems to me it's like you run, like if a guy's on the outside and you run towards the turnbuckle. It seems like that's that run and grapple mechanic, but doing it against the turnbuckle, you'll force the springboard up and then the move to the guy on the outside. Same with if the guy was on the apron. I saw a clip the other day of, it was like a Hurricane Rana from the guy was on the apron, the opponent was on the apron, and the guy goes up the turnbuckle and he does the Hurricane Rana from the apron. He did spin around the wrong way, but that doesn't matter. The fact that they've got that as a mechanic, and again, I'm just guessing that that's something that the WWE games don't do. But yeah, and then they've got other things as well that I think are brilliant, but obviously we like the rope grapple mechanic, but they also have, like, on the outside when the guy's up against the guardrails, there's, guardrail grapples, and from multiple different positions, like the opponent can be standing against the guardrail facing the crowd, facing the ring. He can be sitting down, facing the crowd, facing the ring. These are all different positions from which you can do grapple moves, which I love that. That to me feels like something that AKI would have done had they kept going in the way that they were going. So yeah, stuff like that. That's definitely the positives. Where am I? I've lost where I was. I don't want. I apologize if I ever skip anyone's question. I try my hardest not to do that. Sometimes it gets a bit away from me. Oh yeah, can the 12th step Gallows pole look Gallows finisher in the game? I'm not sure what that is. That's another thing, just to be completely transparent as well. As you can probably tell from my t-shirt, I'm a very, kind of old school wrestling watcher. So there's a lot of things that that come up where people say, "Oh, like this guy's move," and I have to think and I have to go, "Shit, what the fuck is that?" But what I'll say is, if there's moves that you guys that want in the game, join us on the Discord. Sorry, I'm getting distracted reading other comments. Join us on the Discord. We've got, like, the moves section there. You can submit any moves, and we're basically using that Discord just to compile a list of all these moves, and we'll get to them once we've got all the base animations done. Nitro-esque ringside flame mats would be so dope. The Nitro mats. The mats are something that you can actually play around with in the texture editor. So it's not just the tires and things like that. So, if you go into the texture editor, you choose the floor mats, and you want to design those flames. That's something that's not too difficult to do. And then again, it'll be a community creations type deal. So if anyone makes the perfect version of them, you'll be able to go in and download them. Thoughts on Retromania? I've not actually played Retromania yet. I saw the adverts and stuff. I think I've probably, since that came out, I've been back working on this game, and I think I've said this before. Like, I actually haven't had time, even with the AEW game. I pre-ordered it, got it when it came out. I don't think I played a match until I think I played a match when it first came out. But then I've only had, like, so much time to, like, I've probably only played, I think I played less than 10 matches on it, to be honest. I've saw a lot of clips, I've saw a lot of people watching on YouTube and stuff like that, but I just don't have the time to, like, go through the career mode and stuff like that. So it's the same with all these other games. I actually bought a couple of games a few weeks ago. But I bought the Hitman. I already had Hitman, but I bought, like, the upgrades and stuff like that. And I played it for like half an hour, and I just haven't had time to get back to it. So unfortunately, I'm a little bit out of the loop with the only time I ever really see video games like being played in my house is if my son is like playing Lego City or something. So yeah, it's just a case of haven't had time. That's why I don't know so much about the WB games. I just literally don't have the time to. I think if I ever do play them, it's more a case of, like, I'm trying to see what mechanics they have and all that stuff. But to be honest, that's, you know, so many people make YouTube videos on breaking down the mechanics. It's probably just easier doing that than, you know, trying to play through it and find out the mechanics by playing through it. Peace and blessings. Thank you. Entertainment news here again. Oh shit. Again, sorry if I've missed you before. Is there any more news you'd like to share with us about those online special events you had mentioned last Q&A? Maybe an event. Yeah, the online stuff. So I guess the online stuff is quite a bit away in the future. Like we're heavily focused just now on just getting that core gameplay down, getting all the moves animated for this one-on-one match between the two characters, which you know, we've been kind of planning around this like a kind of demo, early access thing with it. It's just going to be the two characters, but we need to get all their moves done before we can do it. And having to redo this animation system, that's been a bit of a fucking nightmare. But so the online stuff, that really is quite towards the end of I shouldn't even say the end of development, because there really is no end of development. But in terms of the end of, you know, when we expect to release, that's when the online stuff and the story mode will sort of start to come together more. Right now we're just mainly focused on core gameplay, and eventually then it'll be different match types and all that kind of stuff. The visual style of the AKI games and even the Fire Pro games made it easy to create wrestlers from other federations, which looked like they fit into the game. Will this be the case with FPW? I'm guessing you mean UPW. Yeah, that is actually that is specifically the reason why we went for that sort of cartoony stylized look, because, you know, the example that I always try and give is like Bret Hart. You know, Bret Hart's quite colourful, but if you've got a realistic looking game, if you've got like a 2K type game, now this example doesn't work so much anymore because the games have evolved quite, you know, well in recent times, and now when you see people making mods or whatever, but actually forget mods, just the in-game creator wrestler system, now they're pretty good. But there was a time a couple of years ago where if you try and make a character in a realistic looking setting, it's very, very hard to get it right, and those created characters always looked like they didn't belong in the game. They kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. But, you know, when I look at the Fire Pro Wrestling games, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. They're so simplistic that you can make anyone. You can make Bret Hart, and it looks like Bret. It looks like the developers made him. You know, you can't really tell the difference. You know, between a guy that's a created wrestler and a guy that was intended to be in the game. And of course, No Mercy is a good example of that as well. So that's why we went with this sort of stylized look, because then if it's stylized and you try and make Bret Hart with the tools that we give you, he's going to look like he sort of fits in the game. You know, he's not really going to look like he sticks out too much. So yeah, that was the intention behind the style and everything. I see there's so much more questions, and we're just kind of running out of time here. Let me just, I'll just do a quick skim and see if I can see any ones that haven't been answered before. Pinfall and submission will be available in Battle Royale. Robot fantasy core parts, yeah, you will have robot and fantasy core parts, because some of Hal's characters are robots and fantasy stuff. So will we get awesome WF No Mercy running grabs? Yep, running grabs, different new animations. Yeah, we'll try and expand on it and come up with unique stuff. The BWO logos in the game, BWO is a parody, so you can't actually copyright a parody. So this is why the BWO logo and everything that shows up in these other games, Retromania and all that. So yeah, we're kind of, our hands are clean of that one. So you should have a character reveal phase like AEW says so, and so is Elite. Yeah, Meanie is going Ultra. Yeah. Yeah, we did kind of think about maybe making some sort of poster with the DLC characters being like, Blue Meanie is Ultra Pro. But I don't know. I mean, it's funny, and I think sometimes people can be a bit too sensitive though, and they might see us like kind of taking shots when we're just in our minds it can be harmless fun. But if people misinterpret that as like taking a shot, you can kind of get scolded quite bad. So we're gonna just try and avoid that because there's just no real benefit to it. Will we be able to lengthen or shorten pants and shirt length, maybe even hair length? At the moment, we don't have a system for shortening the length of things. At the moment, we don't. Something that we could look into. Yeah, it might be kind of tricky. Yeah, the problem is like if you have a shirt sleeve, the mesh of that sleeve is tied to the bone of your wrist. So when your wrist move, the shirt knows where it is. As soon as you start moving that, it obviously can be done that you can take a bit of mesh and move it and attach that to a blend shape. But as soon as you move that shirt up there, if you don't adjust for the weight, the weighting on the rig, it can lead to a lot of problems. So it's a hard thing to do. Hair isn't really attached to anything but the head, so hair's a bit different. Hair length shouldn't be a problem. But in terms of like trouser leg and all that stuff, it's just a lot easier to have like a different shirt item with the sleeve already rolled up. Intergender wrestling, yes. Power ranking for titles shots, career mode. Any kind of power ranking for titles. I mean, yeah, but when you're in the career mode, you won't just be able to go after any title. You will have to sort of climb the ranks within the company and all that stuff. Closest game I can think of that has a career mode like that are the MDicky games, but even then, not to the level y'all are doing. The career mode is quite, yeah. In fact, MDicky, I remember finding out about MDicky's career mode and some of that sort of same functionality, and being quite surprised because I wasn't aware of it until someone pointed out to me. It was actually Gimbals pointed out to me the sort of similarities. Okay, I'll go till 10 past. Which is like 6 minutes, and I'll just try and get through as many questions here. A record or stream in the process. When do we? Yeah, I'm looking for questions here. Some of them I think are just people chatting with other people. Ronan says he sent several super chats, ordered 3 UPW shirts, doing what I can to support you guys. It's very, very much appreciated. If you want to send us any pictures of you with the shirt, we'll tweet them out. Because yeah, it's definitely appreciated. And also, I kind of want to know what ones you got. I really want the the revenge kind of box art one. Yeah, as you notice, I actually don't have any of the UPW shirts myself, so you have 3 more than me. how robust will the wrestler creator be in UPW? Well, what I'll say is this game, part of the reason it took so long to develop early on, you know, a lot of guys know I started working on this, I think probably 8 years ago now, and oh, sorry, I needed a drink. Part of the reason that it's taken so long to get to this point is because I spent a long time developing and then redeveloping. And oh, thanks very much. There's another donation. Probably a slim chance, but will there be a backyard? I'd love to live out my high school dreams of being in a backyard fed. I'll say that we definitely want to have a backyard wrestling federation in the game somewhere. Yeah, and you know something. It's not other than you know backyard wrestling, which obviously had backyard wrestling. You know it's not really something that you tend to find in normal games. I think like with companies, the company that we were initially working with years ago, they were very immediately opposed to any sort of you know backyard wrestling talk, and I think it's just that they. You know, it's the same with you go through any wrestling game. I think that they're worried that it just one it might get them in trouble maybe with you know the legal stuff or you know promoting you know because it goes against the whole don't try this at home thing. So maybe that's what it is. But maybe they sort of feel it makes their promotion look less you know legitimate or something. But you know what I mean? It's a thing that's a part of the culture that we're all in. You know, whether we like it or not, it's a part of that wrestling world. And what we're trying to do here was we're not just trying to make an ultra pro wrestling promotion. We're trying to create a universe, a world of wrestling that's very based off of the real world. So so backyard wrestling's a part of that. So I think that you know. I definitely wouldn't be embarrassed to put a backyard federation in the game. Yeah, it's because of all the don't try at home issues. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, what's that? Something else was said there that thing was going down. I definitely was talking about something. Yeah, the career mode. I spent a long time getting the career mode right because, well, even with the AEW game, I know some people have noticed that you can create your own character, but you're limited to the degree to which you can edit the base roster. That's something that I want to avoid. I didn't want I didn't want what the WWE was showing me with here's the official guys and here's your created shite. Like I wanted it to be one and the same. I wanted it to be that every like No Mercy was. Every created character was built off of the same it used the same building blocks as every real character in the game. So that's what we wanted to do for our creator wrestler system. So I'll just say that the creator wrestler system is robust because it's foundational to the game. And our creator wrestler system, everyone is editable. Every clothing item is editable, all that stuff. So yeah, it's very good. It's my goal is for our creator wrestler to be the best creator wrestler system that's out there, and I know that's big talk for such a small indie game, but that is the goal. Okay, I'll do one last question and then I'm gonna have to wrap up. The Twitter guy is super smart. He is. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read for. I'm trying to find like a kind of quick question. No one will ever be able to lift Gurren Densai. Yeah. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of fucking questions. I don't know. Sometimes when you scroll down, the the bar that you're scrolling with auto adjusts, and then you realize, oh shit, I'm not even halfway through like all the questions that have been asked. Um, UPW middle finger instead of SmackDown fist. Um, yeah, it is. Yeah, we could maybe play around with that. um, Not if they were handmade. Now, if they were ripping them from No Mercy and reusing them that way, then maybe. Yeah, if we're talking about the animations that we're doing, there's no way, and in fact, Thai Monkey will be able to confirm or deny this for me. As far as I know, there's no way to actually rip the animation data from the game. So that in and of itself tells you that everything that we're doing here is a fucking labor of love. And you know what? If there was a way of ripping the games, that would be so much fucking easier and a lot less, a lot less, a lot less time consuming, but also a lot less expensive. You know, because we basically have staff in here that are kind of round the clock, doing these animations by hand. So yeah, and this is again why it's, you know, if we've seen some comments. Obviously, it's a compliment to us when people think that we've just ripped the animations from the game, because then they're saying, "Oh, you fucking nailed them! Like, you've got them exactly perfect." So then that's what we want. But yeah, no. The thing is as well, like, if we were able to fucking rip the animations from the game, do you not think it would be done by now? Do you not think the game would be out by now if we were able to do that? So yeah, I mean, we're worried about missing deadlines for like the demo and for the announcements and all that stuff, because of how long it's taken to recreate these animations. But you know, the way that we see this, once these animations are done, then it's like we've got that fucking engine, we've got that core, you know. I mean, obviously we have to build the mechanics of the engine as well. It's not just the animations, but you know, it's like this is a game that existed 20, 30 years ago, and you know, if we're able to sort of bring that into the modern day with those exact animations, that's something that's worth doing. You know, it's worth preserving that engine. You know, so. It's possible. No tools have been made for it though. Grix, if I'm not mistaken, has made a Blender plugin. I shouldn't be getting excited about this because this is something that, you know, we as the guy pointed out, if we straight rip the animations, then that's obviously something we're not allowed to do. But if it's possible, if I'm not mistaken, he made a Blender plugin to deal with models for No Mercy, but no animations. But everything is possible. Just need the right mind to figure out how to convert hex code to somehow see it. Yeah, the closest thing I'm thinking of this is, I remember a while back, I was having a conversation with this about, I think it was actually a conversation I was having with Retro Randy about this, and we sort of discovered, well, I say we discovered, I think he already knew this, but I discovered that someone had recreated the animations or got the animations from Super Mario, and was somehow able to convert that animation data into something that could be usable on a modern game engine. So I remember saying to him, like, so does that mean it's possible to rip these animations? And we're like, I guess in theory it's technically possible, but yeah, you would need someone to basically invent the tool to do it and all that stuff. Yeah, but then again, it's a weird one, because then, you know, if it was possible to rip the animations, then it's not something that we'd be able to do anyway. So yeah, and then the other thing as well is, like, we might, just to sort of keep ourselves on the safe side, we might once we've ripped them. Yeah, no, that's right. It's possible, but no one has invented the tool. Yeah, so we might play around with we might play around with some of the, as I said, our goal is to get that base foundation of the AKI engine done, and then from there, we might play around with some of the settings, some of the speeds. Not too much. We want it to be like the AKI games. But yeah, I guess maybe just there is actually some things that we've realized that don't transition very well. Some of the idle animations, like when the guys are just standing there, it looks fine in No Mercy because I guess the characters are so low poly and everything. But when you have the high poly characters that are doing that very basic idle animation, it doesn't look great. So there might actually be moves where I think for the most part the moves are good. I mean, you guys know from the trailer that we put out, the Razor's Edge and all that stuff. Like some of the moves look decent, pretty good. But the idle animation, and I'm guessing there might be some other animations that maybe don't transition as well, and so they'll be in need of tweaking and refinement and all that. Yeah. So they would suddenly remember their wrestling engine if someone ripped the animations. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like that's it. We're not. I've said it since day one. We're not ripping animations. We don't know how to do that. And even if we did know how to do that, it's not something that we'd legally be able to do, I assume. So yeah, everything we're doing is trying to recreate them by hand, lining up, as best we can, the models with the frames. We're basically we go through the moves and we identify what we perceive as key changes in the animation, keyframes, and then we say, right, okay, well, his hands are up as high as they're going to get on this frame, and so if his hands are up as high as they're going to get on frame 23, then let's mark that as a key animation. We'll put his hands in that position on that frame, and then if we do that for all the sort of key subtle changes and time it well, then it tends to come out looking pretty close. So anyway, I ended up going for another 7 minutes. 8 minutes now. Okay, so I'm going to end it there, and thanks for tuning in. And also, woohoo, Blue Meanie. That's the third guy we've got now on the free agent roster. So we are going to announce. I think we're going to announce some. We're going to at least try and keep the announcements to one every 2 weeks. So I might actually. Do you know something? I was actually planning on taking a break from the podcast this week just because we've got so much work to do in the build up to the end of August. So I was actually planning on taking a break, but then something came up where we've got a couple of guys that we really want to announce. So we decided, you know what, let's just do the announcements every 2 weeks, and we'll try and get them out and all that stuff. So what I might do, I'll play it by ear just now, but what I might do is at this point it is email UPW stream if you don't go over a couple of minutes. What I might do is I might take next week off and then just come back the week after with a new announcement. So that might be the structure for the next few weeks, just because we have this thing at the end of August. Do you know how fucking tempting it is? Actually, I've got this thing that we've been working on. I've got it on my phone, and I'm so tempted to fucking show you guys. Obviously, I can't, but I fucking wish I could. What we're working on just now, I'll just say, it looks fucking amazing. And so I'm very excited. Really want to show everyone what we've been doing, but we have this thing at the end of August that it's going to be like a big promotional thing for us and everything. So having to hold everything off until then. Yeah. Anyway, okay, that's 20 past now. I'm gonna have to go. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you. If not next week, we'll see you the week after. Okay, where'd I click? All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.